Once again, I'm Kiana Martin. Welcome to Quarantine Break. This is giving everybody an opportunity to learn about diverse careers and through this virtual career day. And it's going to be going on the whole month of April, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m., 1 p.m., and 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you could adjust that to your particular time zone. I'm so excited to welcome to this afternoon session, Kyra Moulton. She's going to talk to us about more than meets the eye. And what does that mean? Well, she's a visual merchandiser. And when we go into stores, oftentimes to buy clothes, we're just picking things off the rack. But people in Kyra's position actually have a rhyme and reason as to how they set up things in the store, and how every day she's working to persuade us and move us towards the things that she wants us to buy. So let's welcome Kyra Moulton. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Hello.
I'm so excited to talk to you. And just a brief note for everybody that's watching. If you have any questions, make sure you can type them in on your little text box at the bottom, and we'll address them at the end of our Q&A. And so the first question I have for you, Kyra, is what is visual merchandising?
Okay, so visual merchandising is basically the practice of, it's a practice that's used in the retail industry. And what we do is, sorry, I'm so nervous.
No worries.
Okay, it's the practice of developing floor plans and displays to help encourage customers to make purchases. It's basically to maximize sales. So I'm a visual merchandiser, and as a visual merchandiser, I am the person who is in charge of making sure stores have beautiful displays in your windows, so you can attract customers inside the store. So you want to get, like, the hottest items, the most popular things, the colors for the season, the most sought after items that customers are going to want to buy, and you put those in your windows, on your mannequins, and you display them. And then once the customer is drawn in by that, I have to figure out where to strategically place product in the store to keep them in the store, to make them want to shop for more, and just give them really cool displays and eye-catching things. So that's what I do as a visual merchandiser.
So pretty much you have to balance making the store visually appealing, but also making sure that the store makes money.
Yes. So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Visually appealing. So when you come in stores and you see, like, things are folded neat, your color flows are together, your colors for the season are bright and upfront. I'm the person who trains the store's team to have their displays nice and neat, their folds nice and tight. I'm the one walking them through how they should place their product. I also sometimes I will be the person that will say, okay, you know what, we need a bigger table in this area, and I need for this area to sell $50,000 worth of merchandise. So I'm going to need a bigger table, because this table is going to hold maybe $20,000 worth of merchandise, and the racks around it will take up the other $30,000 worth of merchandise. So I'm that person. I know it sounds a little crazy, but when I go into stores, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm looking at the mannequins. I'm looking at the display tables. I'm looking at, you got to have your high and your low, because you also want customers, you want them to get the most sought after thing, but you also want them to say, oh, okay, well, this is a basic shirt and I need a basic shirt. You always need a black, a white, a gray shirt. You know what I mean? So while I'm getting this really cool item, I'm also going to get the basics. So I'm that person who brings it together and makes it look fun and, just something you want to grab and you got to pick it up.
Before we move on to the next question I have, Rob wants to know, do you work for one retailer or multiple at one time?
So I currently work for one retailer. Before And that retailer is Snipes USA. So before coming to work for Snipes, I used to work for it was a visual merchandising company, and we were all like freelancers, all the visual merchandisers who worked for their company, and we would get contracts from different brands. And so with those brands, like let's say, for instance, if I had a contract with Nike, I would go into maybe Saks or Bloomingdale's, and I would oversee their Nike department. I would get that contract for that. And I would be the person that would talk to the stores team and get the proper space that Nike wanted. Like Nike wants to be front and center. So I would say, hey, let's put them front and center, things like that. So right now I work for one company.
So now that you are with one company, I know you mentioned that your stores are strategically placed near a lot of schools. So when it comes to things like back to school shopping, what are some of the things that you make sure you do in your stores to drive back to school traffic and make sure that parents know the things that you want them to buy that also appeal to, the younger customers, like the students that are watching?
Okay, so around back to school time, it's usually in the retail industry, everything is always a season ahead. So around July, we start to think about back to school, and some schools start up in August. So the end of July, beginning of August, we start getting our store set for back to school. And since in New York, a lot of times there are dress codes in schools. So we have one store, which is our flagship location, and it's right in between, I believe it's either, I know for sure it's 2, but maybe 3 high schools. And I know that from going to school in New York, the dress code would be like light tops, dark bottoms, and then your shoes would be dark. So either black or blue. Most of the time it's black, So around back to school time, we'll set up the mannequins in the windows. I'll go to our different stores because we have multiple stores. So I'll go to one of our stores and I'll say, you know what, we got to get the black shoes in the windows on the mannequin so that the customers or parents will see from the outside, okay, they have full black shoes and my kids need black shoes for school. And then once they come inside, we may have a table that's displaying black shoes from every different brand. So if you want to get New Balance, you get New Balance, Nike, Adidas, but whatever you want, we will have that in the front of the store so that customers, parents, students will see, okay, they have what we need for back to school. So that's what we do.
So when you were working with different brands with your previous company, I know you sometimes talk about the importance of seasonal colors. How does that work from, say, for instance, higher end stores, if you go into a Saks or Bloomingdale's versus, going into other like lower end retailers, such as like a Macys or something like that? Why is it that we see the same color everywhere?
Well, that's because it all trickles down. So you'll see, like when you go to Fashion Week, you'll see all the high-end designers, they'll have the colors and, the patterns for that season. And then you have people, basically fashion, they all copy each other. So you'll have other brands and they'll say, oh, okay, well, this color is in season, so we're going to do a collection that way. And we're going to follow those same colors. And then because people shop high and low, you'll have the same. You'll have the high price brands, they'll have the same colors. And then the lower end, you still want to service those customers as well. So they'll have the same colors in season for that time. And it's just like you'll pick up a magazine, and in a magazine, you'll say, oh, the hottest color is purple. And then you'll see, no matter where you go, if you are buying shoes, you could go into Saks and see purple shoes, and you can go into a lower end, like maybe a Fabco or wherever, and see those purple shoes because that is the season's color, So that's why.
Being that you also do styling and other visuals in New York City, you've had the opportunity to do some really interesting things outside of just your traditional visual merchandising. So I know that you've had a couple of experiences with the Macys Thanksgiving Day Parade. I'm a huge fan of Macys Thanksgiving Day Parade, as I'm sure a lot of our other attendees have seen the parade in bits and pieces. So what have been some of the things that you've done with the Macys Day Parade when it comes to styling and fashion?
Okay, so while I was in school at FIT, I was taking some classes there for styling. And at the end of at the end of one of the classes or the end of the semester, we were told that we could possibly work for the Macys Day Parade. We could volunteer for it. So once I did all my, emailing everyone and it got back to me, I got picked to be a dresser, or they call us dressers, to be a dresser for the Macys Day Parade. So it was really exciting. And so what happens is the night, or I would say the morning, because it's like maybe 3-4 o'clock in the morning, we all the dressers and everyone, we get together at a hotel that's down the block from Macy's, and we're there, we're all tired and we want to eat. So we're assigned racks, and you'll see like these big rolling racks, and you'll have pictures. Sometimes it'll be a picture of that particular float. So you have, let's say, the Bugs Bunny float. So it's like, okay, Kyra, I am the dresser for the Bugs Bunny float. It is my responsibility to get maybe 100, like 80 to 100, 150 people dressed in all of this product that's going to be on the Bugs Bunny float. So it could be like, it could be anything, but I'm responsible for getting these people dressed. So, they'll put on their things, but before they walk out the door, before they walk out the door to get on the float, I have to give them a glance over, a once over, to make sure their shoes are tied, to make sure things are like snapped and fastened, because it's a very big deal. The cameras zoom in, and if you don't have things snapped, your wardrobe could fall apart, and then they know what dresser was responsible for that float. So then it would come all back on me, and that's a scary thing. So you don't want that. So I am the person making sure everything is like tip-top shape before they walk out the door to get on that float, for the camera, so everyone can have fun watching the Macys Day Parade.
How long is that work day for you when you take on a project like that?
It can be anywhere from 8 to 12 hours. Yeah, because we're there at around 3. And then we also have to stay there. We have to stay back to get them all undressed. And to so that's a whole nother thing. You get them all undressed, and people are throwing gloves and hats and everything. You have to make sure everything goes back onto, like, everything has a garment bag. Every single person has a garment bag. So every single piece has to make it back in each one of those garment bags, all 100, 150 garment bags on that rack. And so it's about 8 to 12 hours. And then you go home and you eat your dinner with your family.
You're there in time for dinner.
Yeah.
So another thing you have the opportunity to do from time to time is New York Fashion Week.
Yes.
What has that experience been like for you, and what are some of the interesting requests you've received when you're, dressing models for the runway?
So New York Fashion Week is so exciting. It's fun. It's super busy. So again, you have to show up. We're usually there maybe 2 hours before call time, before they start moving around. And if you're lucky, you will have the opportunity to be like, it'll be 2 dressers on one model, which is, I think that it's a little easier, because sometimes I'm only responsible for dressing the model from the waist down. So from the pants down to the shoes, I'm the one buckling up the shoes to make sure they're not going to fall when they go down. And then maybe someone is doing the top half, And so again, you'll see photos on a rack of how the designer sees this vision for this outfit. And it's your job to make it come alive. As a dresser, you'll also have you'll have a little apron, and it'll have your needle, your thread, because sometimes when you're getting a model dress, things can pop, and you have to be that person that's going to sew it back up so they can make it down the runway,
Wow.
So one time I was dressing a model. I won't say her name. I was dressing a model, and she was having an argument with her boyfriend. And while she was getting dressed, she passed me her phone, because I was responsible for the bottom half. And she passed me her phone, and she asked me to text her boyfriend. And so I was just like, huh? And she's like, yeah, say this, and so I'm texting him back. And then while she went down the runway, before she walked out, she said, keep texting him until I get back. So I was trying
Wow.
to scroll through to figure out the conversation so I could keep this text argument going. Yeah. So
Wow.
that was my job for the day. Another fun thing was, I don't know if that was fun. It was funny to me, but another one fun thing that I did was a model. It was her first time doing New York's Fashion Week, so she was super excited, and she was really young, and she wanted to take selfies. So we took selfies together. She posted up on her Instagram, which was fun for me because now I'm in an Instagram photo with the model, so that was fun. But it's a really cool experience, and it's fast paced, so you have to be ready to work. One other time I was told, like, as a dresser, they ask you not to wear makeup because clothes are getting thrown. You'll be sitting there and they'll throw you a dress, and if the dress touches your face and you have makeup on it, then the dress is ruined and it can't go down the runway. So I was asked, and like all the other dressers, not to wear makeup. And I go, oh, okay, so I'm not going to wear makeup. I'm not going to put foundation on, no blush. But for some reason, I didn't think it through, and I still put red lips on because I was walking out the house and I was like, well, this looks a little boring. Let me put a red lip on. And I was so excited to actually work with this one designer. I was super excited. I was ready. And I get there, and one of the supervisors of the dressers comes back there, and, they give me a once over, they whisper. And so I'm getting excited because I'm thinking I did something right and something cool was about to happen. And I was dismissed from working that fashion show.
Aww.
And I had no idea why. And I was just really like sad. And I was like, well, what happened? I was like, well, we told you not to wear makeup and you have makeup on. And I was like, I don't have any makeup, forgetting I had lipstick on. And it's like, well, you have lipstick on. And I was like, well, I can take it off. And it was like, no, you can go. And so I was like, well, is there any other designer that I can go work for today? And I literally had makeup wipes in my little in my dresser bag, because you have to have those things for if makeup gets on clothes. So I like literally wiped the lipstick off. And when they came back around, I was like, I'm ready to go. I can't stay for this designer. Is there somewhere else in the city that I can go and work at? And I did. So that was a lesson,
I'm glad you were able to salvage that. Speaking of, I know that you mentioned that you have had a toolkit with you for Fashion Week of wipes and things like that. What things are in your toolkit for your day-to-day work as a visual merchandiser?
Oh my gosh. So I have glue guns. Oh, I should have brought it over. Do you want me to get it really quickly, or you want me to just tell you?
Get one if you have it.
It's like right in front of me. I'll get it. Give me 1 second. Okay. I'm coming.
It's good you have it so close to you.
That's because I was fixing things around the house, boredom. So I have my glue gun, handy dandy glue gun. If a fixture breaks down, if falls apart, I can hot glue it back together. Taping up any and everything. I have my screwdrivers because I'm putting things together for window displays. I have all sorts of things in here. Fishing wire. If we're trying to, if I'm trying to hang something from a window display, you want something where you don't see the wire. So I use like fishing wire and things like that. But I have all sorts of things in here. It's like clamp. So this will go, I will hide it. So I don't like to use these for mannequins and things like that because, or I don't like to train people to use them. I don't mind using them because I would use the really small binder clips and, hide it so you could cinch up a mannequin so things can look nice and fitted because mannequins are really small and sometimes even an extra small is too big on them. You know what I mean? So I use binder clips to give the look that I'm trying to give. Like if I'm trying to cinch it at the waist, if I'm trying to make something a little shorter, so binder clips. Yeah, I have scissors, wire cutters.
Why do you have so many pieces of equipment? I would think there's not a maintenance person who can come in and do these things, or why do you have this part of your job?
A lot of times it's not really their responsibility to do. It's mine. because I'm the person who's responsible for the entire look of the store. I'm not a handyman, so no, I'm not going to fix a door. But when it comes to a fixture, if a fixture is broken, I have to figure out how to fix this fixture. And if it can't be fixed, then I have to sit up there and calculate exactly how much product is now going to come off the floor. And when I'm looking at it, it's like, I can't afford for $20,000 to come off the floor. So
Yeah.
I'm going to fix this fixture the best way I know how to. And then if I do have to pick it up and take it off the floor for the maintenance person to fix it, it's like a whole nother thing, because maybe the fixture is coming off the floor, but I will not let the product come off the floor. So it's
Wow.
things like that. Yeah. So
For students that want to learn more about visual merchandising, or how they can learn more about, your line of work, what would be your suggestion for resources, and kind of give them a background as to what was your path into getting into visual merchandising?
Okay, so my background. All right, so I went to fashion industries, the high school of fashion industries here in New York. I wanted to be a fashion designer and things like that. So I studied 4 years there. You have your regular high school classes, and then you have 2 additional classes, which we called our major classes. And then after high school, I took some classes at FIT. And then I was working while I was in school, and we had a visual merchandiser that used to come into our store, or the store that I worked for. And it was a family-owned business, husband and wife. The wife hired the visual merchandiser. The husband didn't really care for his work. So, but the husband said, I worked at the husband's store, and the wife, she worked at another store, but the wife hired him to go around to multiple stores. Mm-hmm. And this guy would come in and he would do displays, and he would do, layouts and dress mannequins. And then right after he would walk out, the owner, the husband, would come to me and say, Kyra, can you fix that? I don't like anything he does. So I was just like, well, that's his job. Like, why you don't like it, whatever. And he talked his wife into letting me be the merchandiser for the store, because he liked my displays more. And so I would change the windows up, and it was a family-owned business. So I had a lot of say-so of what went where, and he really trusts my judgment. So that's how I got into it. And I've been doing this for over 15 years now, and just moving my way on up, For people who are looking to get into visual merchandising, I would say FIT has classes. I believe Parsons, but I'm not too sure. But if you're working in a retail store, and you let people know that you're interested in doing visuals and things like that, you can also move up that way. There are people, when I go into stores, when I'm at work and I go into stores, and people see, a lot of times they look at me dressing mannequins, or they see when I'm training people to dress mannequins, they'll say, oh, that looks fun, I want to do it. And then I have to sit down and explain to them the business behind it, because these things are planned out like 9 months in advance, So I know what product is coming in, and it's my job to figure out space and to make that product pop. So sometimes I'll take someone under my wing, and I'll say, okay, when I come into the store, I'm going to work with you, and I'll teach them the way so that they can keep their stores looking good when I'm not there, because right now I'm responsible for 11 stores throughout New York. And I also travel into Chicago and Detroit to train those teams. So I would say always be willing to learn, unlearn, relearn, and learn again. Yeah. Remain a student, and take criticism, constructive criticism, well, because there were times where I did some funky things in the beginning of my career, and I had to be pulled to the side. I don't think that's going to work. And I was just like, okay, so we'll try something else. So I would say remain a student to the craft. Always be willing to put yourself out there, ask questions, and take up space. When you go into a room, don't just like sit back and let the conversation go on around you. Throw yourself in there, because when you walk out of the room, and maybe you had an idea that all these people, they didn't know, or things that you could hip them to, that maybe their minds weren't thinking that way. So even as like a retail associate in a store, if you see your visual team there, you know, sit back and like kind of watch them a little bit. And if they're asking people to help out, volunteer yourself to help, and, you know, converse with people. You never know. You never know where it can lead you.
So would you say that's the best piece of career advice you would have given your younger self, or do you have additional advice you would offer?
What would I have told my younger self? Yeah, I would say speak up more. I would say I think what I needed for my younger self, and what I would tell people, always, always take up space. Let people know that you're there. Yeah. So yeah, just don't let the conversation go on around you. Be a part of the conversation. And like, never be too afraid to ask a question. You just never know. You never know. So that's what I would tell my younger self.
Thank you so much for sharing your inspirational story with us, Kyra,
You're welcome.
visual merchandising. Let me check and see if anyone else has any other questions. I think we've reached our time. We don't want to hold you up. For those attendees who want to attend the 4 o'clock session, How Street Fighter Made Me Do It, featuring software engineer Terrell Green, that will be at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we will see you then. Thank you so much, Kyra. We certainly
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
having me.
Okay, everybody have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.